Good evening, one and all. We welcome you all to the International Webinar Series on Holistic Health, Well-being and Sustainable Development 2026, commemorating Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, nation celebrating 78 years of independence and United Nations Sustainable Development Goals 2015 to 2030 and Viksit Bharat at 2047 as part of awareness and campaigns in collaboration with Sri Holistic Health Foundation India and Sri Research Institute Center for Arts, Sciences and Well. Before we start our sessions, let's take the blessings of Almighty.
गुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं गुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते शुभं गुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं गुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः
With the blessings of Almighty, we shall continue with today's commemorations and celebrations. Today, we are commemorating World Obesity Day on March 4th. Obesity is an epidemic. In the US, the condition puts people at a higher risk for serious diseases such as cancer, diabetes, and heart disease. World Obesity Day, observed annually on March 4th, highlights the environmental and medical factors that contribute to high obesity rates. This day also focuses on what we can do to end the stigma. The US has the highest obesity rates among all nations of the world, and Americans are struggling since 2012. US obesity rates stood at 13% as opposed to the reality 40% today since 1960. Indian surgeon Sushruta becomes the first to link obesity with diabetes and heart disease, which is an ancient revelation more than 550 BC. So the CDC and other public health organizations, including the World Obesity Foundation, offer the latest research on obesity, get a better understanding of the challenges. Examine your views of the people with obesity and learn to be more accepting. Call out abuse or discrimination when you see it. If your pants are feeling a little lighter, hit the gym or adopt a daily exercise routine. Change your diet, talk to your doctor about steps you can take to avoid being overweight. Eat 5 or 6 servings of fruits and vegetables a day. Cut processed foods out of your diet and eat whole grain products. Exercise for 30 minutes a day. Keep track of the calories you burn versus your calorie intake. Balance it out. Obesity can cause serious illness. Women with obesity have a higher chance of getting breast cancer, and the research shows obesity causes nearly 3 lakh deaths in the US each year. Obesity rates are steadily rising. Nearly 40% of Americans over the age of 20 are considered to be obese. Healthcare costs total $300 billion. So lots of us still believe that obesity stems from laziness. Potential employees often discriminate against overweight people. Obese children face bullying. Today is also commemorated as World Day of Fight Against Sexual Exploitation on March 4, 2026, which is celebrated every year on March 4th. This day primary goal is to unite the world to take a stand against all forms of sexual exploitation. 1 in 10 children is sexually abused before the 18th birthday. Sexual exploitation ruins the life of many people, including men and women and children across the world. And this is why it is crucial to spread awareness and light and fight against this vice. Every effort counts, and the first step is to lift the lid on silence, which creates the atmosphere that allows sexual exploitation to thrive. Sex trafficking and human trafficking is a filthy and treacherous multi-billion-dollar business that has been going on in this world for many years. According to UNICEF, more than 3 million children worldwide are affected by prostitution, and nearly a million people are sexually exploited every year. This not only includes young girls and women, but also young boys and men. Millions of people travel abroad for sex tourism to have sex with young children. This has increased child prostitution all across the world. It is estimated that every second of the day, an average of 8 people are trapped by international criminal networks for sexual exploitation, trafficking, and enslavement. And this is what World Day of Fight Against Sexual Exploitation aims to eliminate. Sexual exploitation is one of the worst treatments any human can receive as it robs one of the one's basic human rights, the right to freedom, dignity, and even the right to control their own body. This problem is ubiquitous, but prevalent in Southeast Asia, Eastern Europe, Latin America, and Caribbean countries. Significantly, the people who are trafficked from these countries are taken to developed countries for prostitution. The saddest part about this is that most sexually abused children keep the abuse a secret, mainly because they have no one to turn to for help. And even when they do tell, they are oftentimes not believed, and they end up at a greater risk of emotional, psychological, social, and physical problems. So they opt to remain silent, which further perpetuates the problem. There are many ways in which you can fight sexual violence. You can start by respecting a person's right to say no to sexual activity. There's 3 stages of sexual exploitation as recruitment, control, and exploitation. Unhealthy sexual behavior, sharp changes in mood, physical signs of abuse, and being secretive are some of the signs of sexual exploitation. Be a responsible citizen and refuse to be conflict by keeping quiet. Report any illegal activities you witness in your locality. Use your social media handles and other platforms to spread awareness. Be sure to give accurate facts in order to stop the evil of sexual exploitation and trafficking. If you or someone you know was a victim of sexual exploitation in the past, you can share your experiences. Be sure to advise people about how to stay safe. About 80% of sexual abuse survivors report excessive drug and alcohol abuse. It ruins many lives. Young girls who are sexually abused are more likely to develop eating disorders. About 40% of the victims are abused by a family member they know. The devil is within. Unfortunately, many child victims never disclose their abuse and they continue to suffer. Silence only perpetuates the vice. 1 in 5 children is solicited sexually on the internet. The internet has made it easier. The international criminal industry can only be curbed with the combined efforts of all people across the world. So this is a much needed day. Although most recovering victims are pretty capable of surviving on their own, they are subjected to a lot of cruelty and emotional trauma. We can be their voice and help them. There are ways that we can take a stance and be part of the solution. This includes participating in the special events held on World Day of Fight Against Sexual Exploitation, and donating to the NGOs that support the cause. We can be part of the solution. Today is also commemorated as Toy Soldier on March 4th in US, which is an annual event that occurs on March 4th to celebrate the day the Toy Soldiers unite. Originally, the fan club of Dr. Steve, a Los Angeles-based music and street performance artist, was formed in 2006. This day is intended to unite fans of various role-playing activities as opposed to collecting or displaying plastic toy soldiers. Along Toy Soldier Day is not famous as holiday like Christmas or Halloween. Numerous fans of Dr. Steele celebrate the day every year. Today is also commemorated as Stop Bad Service Day on March 4th in US. Rudeness, inattentiveness, and even lying. These are only some of the reasons Stop Bad Service Day observed on the first Wednesday in March is crucial. The day is all about drawing attention to unpleasant customer service experiences from business and other organizations. We encourage everyone to try to nip this trend to the bud. Today is also commemorated as National Sons Day on March 4th in US. Molding our sons into responsible men can either be seen as a perilous journey or an opportunity to grow as a human being. On National Sons Day, every March 4 and September 28, we think about our boys and the legacy we leave behind as parents. More than that, we take the time to listen to our boys to hear their dreams or fears and thoughts on changing the world. They all have a role to play, men and women, educators, professionals at all levels. So sons around the world enjoy the spotlight and are spoiled on March 4th. Another National Sons Day is observed annually on September 28th. Today is also commemorated as International Scrapbooking Industry Day on March 4th, which is held every year. We are set to celebrate the best way possible by traveling down memory lane, the pages of our scrapbooks, and filling them with new memories once again. Happy memories are powerful and can help fighting depression and loneliness. This is why scrapbooks and by default International Scrapbooking Industry Day are important to us. Today is also commemorated as International GM Day on March 4th to honor and praise the incredible diligence and impartial rulings of the game master. The day falls on the death anniversary of Gary Gygax, designer and co-creator of Dungeons and Dragons, the super fun observation in the contribution of the Spun Cart, a long-time gaming enthusiast who dedicated an entire day to Game Masters in 2002. The spirit of camaraderie and festival swells throughout the gaming community as gamers come together to appreciate the Game Masters around them. There is also commemorated as Learn What Your Name Means Day on March 4th in US, celebrated annually on Wednesday, the first full week of March, and takes place today this year. It is part of Celebrate Your Name Week. The day encourages us to dig deeper into the origins of our name and figure out the meaning behind it. Our names are an integral part of our identity, yet it is one thing we do not get to choose. As a part of this campaign launched by American Ontology and hobbyist Jerry Hill in 1997, an entire week was dedicated to exploring the beauty of our names and their deep history. Today is also commemorated as National Backcountry Ski Day on March 4th in US. If you love the snow, skiing, and a more rugged than usual terrain to ski, the National Black Country Ski Day on March 4th is for you. Backcountry skiing, which is simply skiing on more rugged, ungroomed, and natural ground, rather than the average ski resort trail, is becoming more and more popular in the US. It's in enough demand that multiple states provide people with various backcountry ski trails, either attached to resorts inside national park boundaries or in another appropriate location. So anyone with a hankering to jump on their skis and take a turn down a backcountry trail has lot of choices in their hands. Today is also commemorated as National Grammar Day on March 4th in US. We let our inner nerd out of National Grammar Day. The day was established in 2008 by Martha Brockenbow, the founder of the Society of the Promotion of Good Grammar. The day's motto is, it's not only a date, it's imperative. March 4th on March 4th to speak well, write well, and help others to do the same. We take the imperative seriously, so the National Grammar Day, we are celebrating the idiosyncrasies of the English language by studying up on common grammar mistakes, proofreading our correspondence, and thanking our editors. Today is also commemorated as National Marching Band Day in US. On March 4th celebrates the march music genre, which features a strong regular rhythm expressingly written for marching to avoid most frequently performed military bands. The holiday serves as a day to honor the dedicated musicians and composers of the sounds as it as well as its performance. It is said to be celebrating all varieties of art forms that bring us music on the move. For centuries, the rhythm of the march music genre has kept military units moving. Its unison from the training field, from the battlefield, football stadium to the Broadway stage, marching music delights performances and spectators alike. Today is also commemorated as National Pound Cake Day on March 4th in US, which is observed annually on March 4th to celebrate the long history of pound cakes and encourage everyone to put their baking hats on and make them for their loved ones. Pound cakes refer to the type of cakes traditionally made with one pouch each of four ingredients: butter, flour, and sugar. It typically makes a much larger cake than most families could consume. On National Pound Cake Day, cake lovers around the world are encouraged to celebrate, bake, and eat pound cakes with the people they care about. Today is also commemorated as National Safety Day in India, which is observed every year on March 4th with the purpose of generating awareness and commitment to working safely. This day was initiated by the National Safety Council to increase awareness of all the guidelines of safety measures, including road safety, workplace safety, the safety of human health, as well as the environment. This day is also aimed at renewing the commitment of employees and the general public to work safely throughout the year. Ultimately, the day wants to shine the light of safety protocols and measures that need to be adhered to and to avoid any type of workplace accident. The National Safety Day is celebrated every year by the National Safety Council of India to raise awareness and commitment to the safety protocols and measures that needed to be followed to avoid workplace mishaps. The ultimate objective of this day is to commit employees and the general public to work safely by adhering to all safety guidelines. The National Safety Council is a non-profit body that has set up to aid in generating, developing, and sustaining any national level of voluntary gestures of health, safety, and development. These actions of the Council have been successful ever since the initiation of the holiday in 1972, set in less than afterthought of the first industrial safety conference in India, organized by the Ministry of Labor and Employment, who felt a need for safety councils on nation and state levels. They proposed what it is now the National Safety Council, which then went to initiate this day as a way to drive the adoption of safety measures. National Safety Day was first observed on the Foundation Day of National Safety Council in 1972, and the day was set up by the Ministry of Labor and Employment on March 4, 1965, to develop and bring into practice a voluntary routine on safety, health, environment. The year 2021 marks the 50th observance of National Safety Day. The National Safety Council gets registered as a public trust under the Bombay Public Trust Act of 1950. The Government of India establishes the National Safety Council as a non-profit body self-financing body in 1966. The National Safety Council launches National Safety Day a decade after its founding in 1971. Many leaders and organizations take to Twitter to highlight the important message of safety on National Safety Day. National Safety Day is observed every year in India on March 4th to generate awareness and commitment to working safely. It is aimed at renewing the commitment of employees and general public to work safely throughout the year. National Safety Day was first celebrated in 1972, almost half a decade after the founding of the National Safety Council, which is the premier and non-profit body concerned with safety, health, and environment in India in 1966. Take the NSC Safety and Health Pledge to commit yourself to work safely and celebrate this day. Commit yourself and your employees to work safely by taking the Safety and Health Pledge by the National Safety Council. National Safety Day aims to renew the commitment of employees and general public to work safely, and by taking the pledge, you are observing the day. Another way to observe this day is to write about unique ways to you think we can adapt to commitment and get better at working safely. Join safety competitions too. Essays, slogans, posters, housekeeping, and even safety performance. You could also pin yourself with the custom National Safety Council flag. Help others commit to safely working by sharing your storyline online. Safety should be a priority over everything. Else, no worker should be forced to have to choose between not working safely and their means of livelihood. Encourage people to take the personal oath of working safely. Use hashtag National Safety Day. Each year, the National Safety Day is given a theme to highlight direction to public work safety. The holiday will focus on. National Safety Day is aimed at renewing the commitment of employees and general public to work safely throughout the year. The National Safety Council was established to make safety training more accessible to all. Therefore, it's a non-profit organization. The National Safety Council has launched National Safety Day just over 50 years ago. National Safety Day was born half a decade after the founding of the National Safety Council to mark the National Safety Council's day of formation. National Safety Day is important to maintain proper workforce welfare, developing a proactive attitude towards safety and increase creating procedures for identifying workplace hazards and reducing accidents and exposed to harmful situations and substances is a key to every employee's workplace satisfaction. Helping to highlight the impact and growth of the National Safety Council in an important part of the National Safety Day, the premier non-profit and self-financing and tripartite apex body concerned with safety, health, and environment in India was founded in 1966, 5 years before the founding of the holiday. The act of committing to working safely is a good precedent for the future Indian workforce. Safety should be a priority over everything else, and no wonder no worker should be forced to have choose between not working safely and their means of livelihood. There is also commemorated as National Dance Awards Day on March 4th in US. The waltz is one of the most widely known dances in the field of ballroom dancing. It is usually danced by a man and woman facing and holding each other in a close position. It is usually danced at state dinners, weddings, and other formal occasions. The Viennese waltz, as opposed to the slow waltz, refers to the faster rendition of the waltz. Johann Strauss composed the most well known waltz music with his son Let's waltz together to commemorate this occasion. Today is also commemorated as Agya GI Day in US on 4th March. So it's only appropriate that this be the day that we celebrate the servicemen and servicewomen in our lives with the National GI Day. Soldiers in the US military, including members of the Army, Air Forces, and Marines, have been referred to as GIs since 1940. And today is the day that we celebrate everything they do for us with a big hug, either or literally or metaphorical. Today is also commemorated as HPV Awareness Day on March 4th. Annually, it was established to help spread awareness about HPV and educate people about vaccinations and other preventive measures. It also allows people to better understand the danger, signs, and symptoms of HPV. The virus is known to be a major cause of cervical cancer. This virus has been so the virus has also been known to cause some types of skin and mucosal cancers. Today is also commemorated as Holy Experiment Day on March 4th in US to encourage general tolerance towards religious practices different from ours. The importance of this story in this day commemorates is also the precedence of the core beliefs, the establishment of Pennsylvania, and until lately, the United States was based on religious tolerance, diversity, and representative government. William Penn today is also commemorated as Holi on March 4th in India and across the world. Holi, the festival of colors, is celebrated on March 4th and acquires a renowned spot in ancient Hindu festivals. The excitement of having vibrant colors scattered in the air is a delightful. The 2 day festival is a pleasant way of welcoming spring. All people, regardless of their age, take part in this event with enthusiasm and vigor. So let's join, grab our gulal colored powder, throw at each other as a symbol of joy and love, and celebrate the victory of good over evil. The name of this event comes from an intriguing tale of Viscous King and his determined son. Back in ancient times, it all started with the invincible evil king, Hiranyakashipu, who became arrogant and wanted to be worshipped by every person in the kingdom. However, his son Prahlada denied him and continued worshipping Lord Sri Vishnu. This caused an immense wave of rage in evil king. The consequences of which were suffering by Prahlad in the form of brutal punishments. Despite all this, the strong belief of Prahlad enabled him to get through this cruelty, and he kept praising Vishnu. Seeing his own defeat, Hiranyakashipu couldn't control his anger and asked Sister Holika, install like a Despite all this, the strong belief of Prahlad enabled him to get through this cruelty and he kept praising Vishnu, seeing in his own defeat. Hiranyakashipu couldn't control his anger and asked his sister Holika to sit on a pyre with Prahlad in her lap. Holika was known to be immune to fire, but she didn't know that it only worked if she entered the fire alone. Consequently, Holika was burned to death and Lord Vishnu saved Prahlad. The burning of the despite consequently Holika was burned to death and the Lord Vishnu saved Prahlad. The burning of Holika is celebrated as Holi because of the defeat of evil king. Holi is also called victory of God, good over evil. Another legend linked with the throwing colored powders on each other is the love story of Krishna and Radha. Krishna was poisoned as a baby by some demoness, and turned a blue color. He fell in love with Radha and was worried that Radha would reject him because of his skin color. Krishna's mother suggested that he playfully color Radha's face with some colors. He did so, and Radha fell in love with him. So have a Holika bonfire, set up and gather people around to perform religious rituals. Most of them include praying to God to diminish. Let the inner child come out by playing with wet and dry colors, strengthen your bond with others, and engage in a cheerful fight with them, throwing colors and watered balloons with them. Arrange a feast that comprises different meals, including sweets, drinks, etc. One of the most popular drinks of these festivities. Arrange a feast that comprises different meals, including sweets, juices. One of the most popular drinks of this festival is bhang, which is made from cannabis leaves and largely consumed during the festival. So people, regardless of their age, caste, or color, throw colors at each other. It brings unity. A popular saying during the throwing of colors is "Bura na mano, holy hai," while means do not mind, it's holy, avoiding responsibility for pranks before Holi. People moisturize the skin to be able to remove the gulal colored powder easily afterwards. In the era of Mughal emperor, the festival of Holi is celebrated to pay tribute To the arrival of spring, the vibrancy of the festival indicates the translation from dry, gloomy winter to bright, vivid spring. People of all castes, colors, and ages gather together for the celebration of good over evil. Their bonding with each other strengthens them, thus bringing out love and oneness. Celebrations of Holi include delicious foods to tempt your taste buds. Gujia, a delicate sweet made with milk solids, nuts, and a pinch of love, which increases sweetness, is a popular food of Holi along with traditional drink bar. There is also commemorated as Global Day of the Engineer on March 4th internationally. The celebrations are jointly sponsored by the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, and the World Federation of Engineering Organizations, WFEO, to acknowledge the achievement of engagements and their contributions to construction and building infrastructure. There also an added focus on what there's also an added focus on engineering and how to get future generations interested in it. Today, Global Day of Engineers' goals also include sustainable development, and it has become a source of inspiration for many aspiring engineers. There is also commemorated as Discover What Your Name Means Day on March 4th in US, which is celebrated on Wednesday of the first full week of March, and this year takes place on March 4th. As the name implies, Discover What Your Name Day is a day to find out the true meaning of your name. There are so many names in the world, each of them beautiful and unique, and you deserve to know why you are so special. So, your name can reveal a lot about your culture or family history. Whatever the case may be, celebrate Discover Your Name Day by doing some research into the meaning of your name, and you might be surprised by what you find. Today is also commemorated as Courageous Followers Day on March 4th in US, which is observed every year to shed light on the virtue of followership brought into the order after Iraq Shalaf's groundbreaking book on leadership, The Courageous Follower, Standing Up to and for Our Leaders. The holiday encourages all of us to become responsible followers. The book has become a source of debate about the multifaced aspects of leadership since its publication in 1995. A learned and organized follower is an asset to any leader. On Courageous Follower Day, we ditch the idea of rugged individualism and propagate the ethos of genuine followership. Today is also commemorated as Brain Injury Awareness Day on March 4th in US. Since head injuries are so common across the US and the world, educating the public about the significant concern is essential. The purpose of Brain Injury Awareness Day, held annually on March 4th, brain injuries can lead to long-term changes for the affected person and their loved ones and present challenges to their everyday existence. Brain Injury Awareness Day is crucial and is part of a wider campaign observed in the same month as Brain Injury Awareness Week and Brain Injury Awareness Month. Head injuries have existed since the origin of man. Popular culture stereotypically depicts cavemen as wild beings clubbing each other over the heads, and fossilized remains reveal that broken skull bones are all too common in ancient times. Skulls with holes were discovered in early battle graves, suggesting that surgery was attempted at the time to treat brain injuries. Ancient Mesopotamians knew that head injury had serious side effects such as seizures, paralysis, and loss of sight, hearing, or speech. Ancient Greek physicians understand that injuries to the center of thought impaired normal brain functions to an extent, and by the Middle Ages, physicians learned more about the symptoms of brain injuries and the term concussion. To describe a milder type of head trauma was commonly used. An Italian physician named Jacopo Berengario di Capi systematically listed the symptoms of concussion, the first ever such description we can find. The next day, the next few decades were marked by experimentation and discovery as the world tried to understand the brain and the effects of an injury. Both world wars and subsequent carnage led to unprecedented head injuries. As a result, more studies were conducted in the field than in the previous years. World War I was partially responsible for developing a rehabilitation treatment. To previous years, World War I was partially responsible for developing a rehabilitation treatment to reduce the effects of brain injuries, something that caused high mortality before the war. In 1990s, brain injuries were recognized as a public health problem, and this was a time of innovation and advancement in the treatment and management of this condition. Standardized guidelines to treat brain injuries were established and multiple drugs came into being, and survival rates vastly improved. Today, the world is more aware of brain injuries and their causes and how best to prevent them. But there is room to improve, which is why US observes Brain Injury Awareness Day. Today is also commemorated as National Salt Awareness Week from March 4 to 11. In UK, salt is arguably the most common and essential seasoning in the world. It is even referred to as taste or flavor of life. But the most things, too much or too little, or fine seasoning can make you sick. This is why it's important to monitor your salt intake to adjust it accordingly. You will be amazed at how many health problems you could avoid by sticking to the recommended daily salt intake. This week is also commemorated as National Endometriosis Awareness Week from March to 10th in US, which is observed from March 4th to 10th every year. In the US, this day helps to raise awareness about the condition that can be hidden and often unrecognized. Endometriosis is a disease that affects women when the tissue similar to the lining of the womb grows on the outer part of the uterus instead of inside it. National Endometriosis Awareness Week helps to spread information about endometriosis as a debilitating and disabling disease. It recognizes the consequences of living with endometriosis for the patient, care provider, and all those affected by the disease. So with this, we shall end today's commemorations and celebrations. We thank each and everyone for joining us, and we request everyone to quickly fill up the feedback form before leaving the platform. See you all tomorrow at the same time with the same joining link. Take care. Good night.